Welcome back to another video. Today we're gonna go over 5 knee exercises that transfer over to Jiu Jitsu specifically. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Dr. Diana Wang. I'm a doctor of physical therapy, certified athletic trainer, and at Open Mat Physio, we've helped over 350 plus Jiu Jitsu athletes go from injured to back to training. Let's get into the video. Before we get into the exercises, I think it's important to go over why knees are often injured and vulnerable in Jiu Jitsu. The knee joint itself is a hinge joint, which means that there's not a lot of side-to-side motion and not a lot of rotation that happens. But in Jiu Jitsu, you know that we do get into these positions. So making sure that you build your knee up to be able to tolerate as many positions as possible is important for injury management. The second thing is a lot of times we see people with problems at their hips, stiffness in their hips, pain, past injuries. All these things can contribute to a lack of hip mobility. When there's a lack of hip mobility, the two places that the stress goes to when we are training on the mats is up to the low back or down to the knee. So unfortunately, the knee becomes this middle child that takes a lot of blame for some of our other restrictions. And the last piece is that Jiu Jitsu requires our knees to be able to be strong and durable in very deep ranges of motion, especially in full flexion or deep flexion of the knee, which is very unconventional to a lot of other sports out there, and why that's a non-negotiable when we're working with somebody with knee pain. What we see really often is a knee injury or a knee pop, and then it feels better after a little while. The person goes back to training, not knowing that they have started to have limitations in their knee, and then they re-injure their knee, and then the injury cycle just continues. So the moral of the story is, if you've ever injured your knee in the past or want to just build durable knees for Jiu Jitsu, you have to load them, especially in deeper ranges of motion, and we'll show you just that right now. The first exercise we're gonna go over is going to be a side plank clam. The reason why I think this exercise is so important for the knee, but also for the hip, is what we talked about of having strong lateral stability when you are moving on the mats or even playing guard. So the side plank clam position allows us to target your hip muscles, but also your core and some of those stability muscles in your knee that will help you manage injuries and manage stress on the mats. You're gonna start off in a side plank position. You're gonna pop up with your leg on top here. And what I want you to do is lift that top leg. From here, what you should be feeling is your core and your glutes engaging. And all you're gonna do is drop the top leg down, lift it back up. Top leg down, lift it back up. Like we talked about before, the hips and the knees are very related. So making sure that you're addressing both, even if you just want to build strong knees, is a key factor to making sure that your lower body is healthy for Jiu Jitsu. A progression from this exercise would be dropping your hip down with your knee coming all the way up. Again, feeling it in your core and feeling it in your glutes. The second exercise we're gonna go through is a hamstring curl. I think the variation on the ball is one of the harder variations, but you can find other ways to do this with a slider or even just doing a hamstring bridge. But what I like about this exercise is in Jiu Jitsu, a lot of times we have to be strong in lengthened positions. And so using the ball, it creates a ability to lengthen your knee, but also build strength when you're moving through both eccentric and concentric parts of the movement. What I want you to think about here is going slow and controlled all the way out, and then pulling all the way back in. The main focus is trying to make sure that your hips stay level and making sure that you're pushing through your heel as the ball goes all the way out and pulling back in. Again, hamstring muscles do cross both the knees and the hips, so making sure that you target both is bang for your buck. If you're pretty advanced, you can do single leg. Same thing, this is gonna be much harder, but focusing on that length and strength position at the end. The next exercise we're gonna go through is going to be a narrow split squat. I love split squats in general, but I think the narrow split squats give us a unique position to work in, which is going to increase our flexion tolerance and working in deeper ranges of motion. Plus, at the same time, I like using this as a bridge to help people get back to a stance that is a little bit more familiar in Jiu Jitsu, where you're in a staggered stance, but you're not as feet far apart like you would be in a regular split squat. So we're gonna do it with the elevation to start, but you can add the elevation to make it harder. Narrow foot positioning here. What you wanna think about is you're just dropping your bottom knee all the way down, and all the way up. So you can see how both knees go into quite deep a flexion in order for you to train these muscles and build some endurance here. If you want to make it harder, we can add a block. And you can see how you'll get into even more deeper knee flexion with the block. The next exercise we're going to go through is a Cossack squat or Cossack lunge. I'm sure you've seen this all over the internet. I love this exercise because your groin muscles and your adductors also cross both the hip and the knee, play a really important role in that lateral rotational stability and strength of the knee itself. So making sure that your adductors are healthy and strong play a big role in healthy knees. So nice and wide, what you can start with is getting down and seeing how you can get into each side. If you want to get more of a stretch, you can also get your foot off the ground. If you want to make it harder, add a weight. For the lunge portion, you're going to actually come up to neutral, step out, get into that lunge. The last exercise we're going to go through is going to be similar to what you see in a sissy squat, but it's almost like a reverse wall sit, and I'll show you what I mean. The reason why I like this exercise is building quad eccentric control and endurance in these positions is going to not only help with knee health in general, but also with your base and with your passing, because your hips and your knees have more endurance on the mats. So we're gonna go hands onto something in front of you, and all I want you to think about is dropping your knees down and coming back up. What you should feel is a really intense pull on the front of your thighs, your quad muscles, and maybe even a little bit in your kneecap. Now, I know there are hundreds, if not millions, of exercises for your knees out there on the internet, but these are just a couple of exercises that we have used with our clients. We think that are really good in terms of transferring to Jiu-Jitsu with the demands of what Jiu-Jitsu demands from us when we are on the mats. We'll leave some details in the description below on some ideas of how to program these exercises. That's all we got for today. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you guys ever need anything, you can find us on Instagram or on our website at openmatphysio.com. And if you feel like you have a knee injury that's just bothering you and not letting you train 100%, click the link below to schedule a 20-minute discovery call and we can see how we can help. Thank you so much and see you in the next video.